another episode of First Person Fitness with me, Ari. So as I said last time, we're going to talk this time about free weights. And as the title implies, we're also going to be talking about expectations. So particularly with free weights, we're going to talk about the squat. The squat is an interesting exercise, and the reason I chose to specifically talk about it as the free weight exercise that we're going to be learning about is because it's relatively complex, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube that can kind of tell you how to do things. A lot of the exercises that are usually associated with big lifts like the squat is, bench press or deadlift. We're going to leave those aside for now. Bench press is a relatively easy exercise to learn, and deadlift is something I think that you should just, in the meantime, avoid till further notice. Again, squats is something that we're going to add into our repertoire. So you'll have the exercises we talked about in previous videos, the machines, and now one free weight exercise, the squat, which is a really good exercise that has a lot of carryover to other exercises. Again, this channel isn't going to talk a lot about technical details, but rather focus on the mental aspect. But I was getting some feedback from some people around who were saying that they wanted to see something a little bit how-to. So I'm going to talk a tiny bit about the squats with a couple of images you'll see soon, but more about how to work your way through YouTube to find good videos on squatting. I say in quotations because there's a million videos on squats, and a lot of them are good, but how to find the one that's good for you. So I'm going to point out the different things to look out for as opposed to correct squat technique. And then you on your own can go into the YouTube journey down that rabbit hole and try and find what it is that you're looking for.
You can immediately see my poor squat form, but we're not going to focus on that. It takes me a long time to warm up, and well, as you can see, I'm in my parents' living room with a broom. So we're going to ignore that for now. For starters, we're going to talk about bar placement. As you can see in this video, I currently moved the bar down on my back and continue performing the squat in poor fashion. But as I was saying before, the bar placement makes a difference depending on your preferences, heights, etc. The bar placement will matter on your back. The next thing we're going to talk about is ankle mobility. So as you can see here, my ankles are coming off the ground. That is incorrect. You don't want to be doing that. Here, now they're staying on the ground. And as you can see, my knees drive forward. I'm changing my foot placement. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, ankle mobility is a big thing that you'll want to look into online before you go ahead. The width of which you'll be standing also makes a difference. I know this is a little comedical bit here, but it makes a big difference into your ability to get into the squat. For me, a wider stance is more comfortable, whereas a more narrow stance really feels tight on my hips. So now before we keep going, we're gonna move outside. A little change of scenery is always a good thing. Kind of helps get in the new mindset and in the new mood. So with that said, let's get going. So again, to go over the list of things we're looking for, we're basically going to be looking towards bar placement on our backs. We are going to look for how wide our feet are going to be, and we're going to make sure we have proper ankle mobility. Now, yes, there's a lot of other things that go into it, different types of hamstring mobility and hamstring flexibility, etc. That being said, these are all things you can find on YouTube. But if you find a YouTube channel that talks about these three things, bar placement, hips, and ankles, you have most likely found a pretty decent YouTube channel.
I hope you enjoyed the reel of me moving up and down and doing, basically a really poor executed squat, as explained during the reel. I hope I explained it. I'm editing this in an odd order. Fourth wall. One of the things in YouTube that you should really look out for is, like I mentioned on the clips just now that you saw, is that there are different body compositions. Some people have longer torsos, some people have longer legs, some people's hips will be more tight, some people have tighter hamstrings, calves, ankle mobility. all these different things that don't really matter too much right now in the beginning of your journey, because I feel like if you go dive too deep into it, it's just kind of like a lot of information and you have other things going on in your life, and why do you need this? You should always strive to look for not a YouTube video that says this is the best way to squat, but rather a video that addresses different body mechanics, different body types. And when I say types, I mean like, longer, shorter torsos, things like that. Moving on into our third and last part of our video today is expectations. Expectations a lot of times can be a downfall. As we progress in our videos now, we're nearing the tail end of this series, and like I said in previous videos, we're trying to create longevity so that you can keep going to the gym and hopefully enjoy it and not get tired of doing it. But ultimately, let's say if you have an expectation for something to happen and it doesn't, you get disappointed. If you don't have an expectation for something, you don't get disappointed. On the other hand, psychology, if you are not expecting something and something good happens, so it's fun. But if you were expecting or hoping, expecting isn't the right word. If you were hoping for something good to happen and then something did, then it's proven to elicit a lot more excitement from us. Set your expectations. I don't want to say high and low because those are arbitrary things and subjective to each person, but you should set your expectations in such a way where at the moment they're short-term expectations. So I expect this week to work out 3 times. I expect this week to avoid this junk food item. I expect this week to progress in one certain aspect that I choose. You don't necessarily have to write it down. There's a lot of writing down techniques. We can get to that when the time comes. I think that, in my humble opinion, I think that a lot of these techniques that people say, write this down or do this or whatever, it's very easy to say for people who already are in it or want it. I'm talking to you, the person who wants to want it. So you're not necessarily wanting it yet, but you know that it's something that you wish you enjoyed more. So set an expectation accordingly and don't set yourself up for failure to say, okay, I'll work out this whole month. Because what's going to happen is that 2 weeks will go in and all of a sudden you'll miss that workout during the week. And then you'll say, well, there's 2 weeks left to the month, but I've already screwed up my goal for this month, my expectations. And so what's the point of keeping on going? Rather, if you had a goal of, let's say, going to work out 3 times a week during this upcoming week, and you missed one. So you say, this week is, it's ruined, which is not the correct way of thinking, but let's say for a second, and let's say your week is ruined. Next week is right around the corner. So set short expectations of yourself in the beginning, and in upcoming videos, we are going to talk about goals and how to set goals that'll help you keep going as opposed to making you feel like you're not going anywhere. That'll be all for now. Goodbye.